Hello, friends. It's almost 6 months we are into the pandemic now, and I just hope that you and your family members and friends are doing well. And welcome back to those of you who have joined me for the sixth session. And I'm extremely happy that NPTEL has given me this opportunity again for a topic that they and I feel is pretty relevant in today's time. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, why this topic, right? So there is a little background to it. Um, at my work, I was asked to do something, an external benchmarking, which I had never done previously. And I thought, what is the best way out? So I reached out to a couple of my friends on LinkedIn. I searched the people who can help me, and I found a common connection between us. And I asked this friend that, okay, this particular person can help me. Can you please introduce me to this person? And my friend said, which person? Then I gave the name details. And my friend said, oh, I don't know very well this person. I just got connected on LinkedIn. And then I spoke to a couple of students as a part of some of the activities that I do. And I realized that they also don't have much information about networking. Because unfortunately, our schools and colleges don't teach us about networking, right? And I thought, why is it that it should be limited only to working professionals? Why don't students make use of networking early on so that they see the benefit in their career? So I have put together a slide like always, and let me just walk you through that. Okay, all right, I hope you are able to see the screen. And for those of you who are for the first time attending my talk or lecture, here's a little brief about myself. I work for Capgemini, and I am a part of the HR team. As you can see, the competency is pretty low when it comes to HR. And let me tell you that because of networking, I am in HR today. So I'm sure for the next 1 hour, whatever you will hear, you will learn a thing or two and you will add it into your uh, life and you might see some benefits. Okay, so we also go through a flow of the lecture at the beginning so that you know what is in store for you. So we will see what is the difference, as you have seen in the title, social network versus real network. So we will see what is the difference. Then there is a concept called social currency and social capital. We will go through that. Then you would see why we should be doing networking. And we will also see what is stopping some of us from doing networking. And where can you start with, just in case if you're confused, or how you can start. And a very simple approach that you can follow. And we will end it with a question and answer. And voila, it looks like a network, isn't it? All right, so what's the difference? Now, definitely, I don't have to tell you what social network is all about. There is a movie also on social network, primarily on how Facebook came about. And I'm sure if the population, I know there are a lot of professors and working professionals also on this lecture, but mostly if you are a student, then I'm sure you are pretty much across the Facebook, the Insta, the Twitter, and LinkedIn also, you can add it here. So wherever there is a platform where you have a contact list, a friend list, or a connection, while they are all flesh and blood, real people on the other side, but seldom you will know them at a personal level, right? So it is more or less referred as a virtual connection because your interactions with them, if you see, are mostly through messages, and very rarely you will talk to a lot of people on the phone. Forget about meeting them physically, right? So that is what. Now, when I say real network, what I'm trying to tell you is these are some of the people which will be your real network. Now, you might be wondering that some people already exist in your life. So what is new? The things that you see there, the mentors, coaches, teachers, supporters, and all. But if you look at the bottom line, it is about the connections. Because if I just take an example of, let's say, the friends, which you see on the right hand side under the real part, right? But do you think the people that you have on your Facebook are your real friends? Because Facebook has, I think loosely defined friends, but you know for sure that not everybody is a real friend out there. Yeah. So the whole premise of this lecture is about the connections, because networking, the moment you say networking to somebody, the immediate thought in their mind is, okay, you want something in return from me, or you're looking for something in return. And I guess that is where many people just go wrong. And I will show you a couple of examples at the end, a couple of requests that I get and how I would react to those requests. All right, so as I said, we will look at social currency versus social capital. Now, if I give you an example of social currency, this is a picture of the same person taken from two different angles. So if you were this person, which one would you put up, either on your Facebook or Insta or whatever? I'm sure all of you would go for the one on the right hand side, right? So people share what they think looks them good on social media. And if you pay attention to the picture here, the dollar sign, because it's a currency sign, it's a like or a dislike. So most of us put things on social media because we want to get a like, right? Whereas if you look at the social capital, so if you are just one person, likewise, there are a lot of other people. So the knowledge, the skills, the competencies, and other attributes which are embodied in an individual that is relevant to your growth and development is referred as social capital. And just read about history. Throughout our history, we have collaborated. And as Helen Keller says here, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So because we are talking about network, I think in the flow of the lecture, that picture and this picture that you see here, from just being one person to being a part of a bigger network, invariably you will grow. There is no doubt about it. All right. So now, why should we have a good network? So there are a couple of things. Let's take an example of, let's say you have an idea. Okay. And you want to know whether this idea will be fruitful, this idea makes sense or not. So just imagine you have somebody in your life. It can be a mentor, coach, or whoever who has that required skill, knowledge, competency, and you go ahead and share that idea with this person. Then they can be your sounding board. You can brainstorm about that idea with this person. They can also do a role play. Just in case, let's say you have an aspiration to be an entrepreneur, you have a startup idea and you want to take some inputs, then, or you probably are looking for some investors. And this person you go to, this person can actually do a mock interview with you, wherein they will ask you about your idea and why exactly, what is the customer base, how do you intend to do that, and all that stuff. So that network can help you there. Then you also have somebody in your group who will connect you to somebody else. And some of them are called super connectors. If I have to take an example of my own case, because of the lectures that I do here, somebody reached out to me who was a part of a foundation, which is again to do with corporate social responsibility kind of stuff, community service. And they were struggling to find a resource who can come in and help them put up the mentoring program. So because of this medium, the person reached out to me and connected me to the other members of that foundation. So now we have a bigger network, right? Then influence. So there are a lot of people out there who can enable things for you. As I was telling you during my introduction, where I was required to do an external benchmarking, a lot of people have helped me. And that happened only when I reached out to them. As you can see in this picture, they kind of expand. So if you are within that little frame, that frame gets expanded by other people coming in, and that will enable a lot of things for you. And last but not the least, it's career, because at times we don't know where we are heading. And all of us have blind spots, which are pretty much known to others, but it is unknown to you, right? So these guys are people, they can tell you what your blind spot are, what you are doing, what you should not be doing, or what you should be doing. So the key here is have a diverse group of connection. And I have just listed some of them here. There might be a lot more, but the whole point is if you do things on your own, there is very little that you can reach. That is why you need this real network. Now, what is stopping us? And I'm sure if there are 6 points that I have mentioned here, there might be more, but I'm pretty confident that you will be able to relate. So the first one is fear of rejection. Because there are a lot of people out there you might have reached out to and you might have heard a no. And that is bound to happen. And we will see why you receive a lot of no's, because everything depends on your approach. Okay. So just because if you send any request, now the request can be anything. Okay. And I'm not narrowing it down to a particular interest of yours. It can be anything. But most often we don't reach out for help because we feel that we are going to hear a no. Then the second is sometimes we feel that I don't have anything to offer. I mean, even if I reach out, maybe it might look like I am kind of a self-serving person. It's only about me, right? Well, don't worry, because you never know. Some of the goals of the other person that you're reaching out might be in perfect alignment with yours. So again, taking example of this foundation which reached out to me, what they were trying to do was in perfect alignment with what I wanted to do for the community, right? So don't hold yourself back. Then probably you might feel that I'm too junior. What is it that I can offer to somebody at a particular level, or somebody who's already established, or somebody has something which you don't have and you want that? So what is it that I can give this person, right? So that might also stop you. So think it like this, that you can provide a sincere appreciation to that person, because all of us like appreciations, right? We all want to feel good. We all want to feel important. We want that attention. So as somebody who doesn't have a lot to offer, probably you can offer this and people will like it. Then the intimidation part. Maybe the person is in a bigger position and you are too junior and you are scared to even approach the person. That might also happen. And I remember a very nice ad. I think it was Google, or probably I've seen it in some movie where this kid is waiting for an admission, and the principal comes, and by the time principal comes, he just glances around the room and he observes some painting or some poster, and immediately he Googles about that poster, and then as soon as the principal comes, he starts talking about that poster. So again, he's trying to align himself with this authority figure, right? So all you need is a good conversation starter. So don't get intimidated with somebody's position. You just have to focus on how are you going to start that conversation. Then fear or unknown people, insecurity about people that you don't know. Because like for example, I mean, now this is my 6th time that I'm talking to you, and some of you are regulars and you don't feel any intimidation to reach out to me. But let's say if you are the first person and you have a doubt there, but you don't know, you just know me only through this medium, right? So I think you need to focus on your purpose and not on the person. Because if you pay a lot of importance on the person, then you might still feel intimidated and you might not reach out. So focus more on What is your purpose? Why do you need this person's view, help, or whatever? And the last is on the cultural aspect. As you can see here, probably the person who is extending the arm is Japanese, and the other person is a Westerner. And the Westerner knows that in Japan they don't shake hands, but they take a bow. But this person is thinking that in the Western world they don't bow, but they shake hands. So there is a mismatch. So I think in India, mostly we might not feel it, but if you're trying to reach out to somebody who is not from the same cultural background as us, you might stop yourself from reaching out. So the answer there is don't overgeneralize people based on the culture where or the country where they come from. Okay, the punchline is become comfortable being uncomfortable. And if you look at one of my lecture on how to handle nervousness during interviews, it was about the pretty much the same stuff. There is a comfort zone and there is an opportunity zone. The moment you jump out of your comfort zone is when you land into an opportunity zone. So similar stuff here as well if you are not networking or rather connecting. All right, so how do we start? Now that you know the benefits of networking and you also know the reasons why you might not take an initiative to reach out to somebody, now you might be interested to know, okay, but where do I start, right? So for this, you will need to take a pen and paper. I mean, not now, but just remember that this is an exercise that all of us have to do at a periodic level. It's not a one-time activity, but it's periodic. So you have to write U at the center and draw a circle around it. Then draw 3 circles. And here I'm taking an example of a college student. Okay, this can be applied for a working professional as well. And then write regular on that outer first circle. Then write sometimes, and eventually the last is rarely. And you have to divide this circle into 3 parts. Okay, like you have to draw these 3 lines. So this become one part, this becomes the second part, and this becomes the third part, right? Now what you have to do is write on this side of the part, same college, same stream. Let's say you are an electrical engineer, that is your stream, and different college, different stream, same college. So in your college, it's obviously it's not just electrical, but there is a computer science guy, there is a mechanical guy and all that stuff, right? So there are different streams, but in the same college. And last is a different college. It can be a different stream or in a different college. So what you have to do is you have to plot people. So let's say Andy and Nilesh are the people in your network who can help you in your growth and development, are in the same stream and same college. Whereas in a different stream in a same college, there is Asra and Rohit. And in a different college, you have Saif and Rajiv. So first you have to identify the people that you feel is your strong network today. As on date, what is your network? Now, Andy and Nilesh can be a professor. Andy and Nilesh can be somebody from a different batch. They can be anybody. So you have to sit down and think, okay, who are the people in my life as on date that are a part of the same stream and same college, different stream, same college, different college, and then plot them. Do I meet them on a regular basis? Do I meet them on a sometime basis, or do I rarely meet them? Meet them, interact with them, or exchange, whatever. I hope you're trying to get the idea. So this is a map that you have to create for yourself. First, identifying the key people that you would like to be a part of your network or are already a part of your network. And then put them here. Visually, you will be able to see, because if you sit down to think, okay, who are them and all, I'm sorry, but our mind, though it has unlimited capacity, but from a processing point of view, it is not. That is why we rely on computers, right? So once you do that, then you will know that, oh, here I rarely interact with Saif, who is in a different college. But I think that Saif can add value into my career or my life. Then I'll have to move him from here and put it here so that I interact with him on a regular basis. And then if you feel somebody else is not adding value, but you are in regular touch, for example, Nilesh here, right? Then you can move also. It's just not bringing people together and have regular connects or contacts, because sometimes few people don't like it, right? So you need to know about the profile of that person as well. But this is where you have to start. And what I'm trying to say here is it's like an engine. So if you consider this whole thing as an engine, then if you own a bike or a car or any automobile, then you know that the engine oil needs to be replaced so that the engine runs smoother, right? So just like that, your network, your connection has to be in a continuous manner. You need to relook. Probably you can draw this once in 6 months or at least a year, so that you know who are the people that you need to include and who are the people that you need to exclude. Okay. All right. Now, let me also give you a simple approach how you can do this. Let's say again, it's you in the center. First, you need to identify. So in the last slide, what you have seen is the existing network that you have. Now you want to expand your network. You want to build new connections, right? So the first thing that you have to do is you have to identify. I will also show you some ways how you can reach out for the people that you have no idea, no clue about. But the first step in building your connection is to identify the kind of people that you need. If we go back to the first or second slide, we said mentors, coaches, teachers, enablers, promoters, and friends, and all that, right? So you can decide what is it that is missing in your life, and you have to identify that first. And before this, you need to know what do you want, right? Nobody else is going to come and tell you that, okay, this is what you should go after. I mean, it is your life, it is your academics, it is your career. So you have to decide what is it that interests you, what is it that gives you joy, what is it that you will enjoy. And after that, you need to go after identifying people who can help you. Then the second is you have to reach. I mean, if you don't reach, if you don't ask, nothing is going to happen. And in order for you to reach, you have to muster some strength. There, you need to be courageous in having that conversation starters. You need to reach out to people. If not, people are not going to know what you want. So that is the second. Third is you need to ask. Because as I said, if you don't ask, nothing is going to come. And I'll just give one or throw up a question at all of you. How many of you have reached out to your professors outside of the class to understand their success at academics? Though, yes, there are professors or lecturers who are teaching you day in, day out, but all of them have a story around their life. If they are in that position from an academics point of view, that's primarily because they might have done certain things in their life. So how many of you have leveraged that immediate network that you have, which is so accessible to you? Right? Give it a thought. Then you have to maintain as well. Now, before maintaining, if I have to just reflect on the ask, stop thinking about how to make yourself successful all the time. Instead, think how you can make the other person successful. And I'm sure you must have heard this saying or a proverb, be interested before being interesting, right? So you have to take interest in other people, see what is it that you can offer. As I said, don't get intimidated by the position or too little to offer. People like appreciation, people like some bit of information. I'll give you an example. So in my organization, I have a vice president who is my mentor, right? And I might also feel that I am 2 levels below this person. What is it that I can offer to this person? But I know for sure the sector where this vice president is responsible for. And if I come across anything which is directly related to his or her sector, then I share the information with this person. So likewise, you can be resourceful for people as well, right? From a maintenance point of view, you need to uh, ensure that there is trust that gets built. So there are a couple of steps in that as well. First, they need to know you. Then they need to like you. They need to trust you, and that is when they'll help you. So take an example. You are trying to reach out to somebody. Obviously, you have something in your mind. You want some help, some guidance, something from the new network that you are trying to build. But don't do that in the initial stages because it takes time for the trust to get built. So wait for the trust to get built, and you're not cheating anybody, right? Because I'll show you in the last step, I think in subsequent slides we have. It has to be a reciprocal relationship as well. As we said, it is not always what you want of the connection that you're building, but what is it that the other person also will gain. I hope by now you must have realized that all of us want to serve our purposes. I mean, I'm not saying that there is nobody in this world who is selfless. There are a lot of people who are selfless, but somewhere something we would need from the person. It need not be in terms of materialistic stuff or money matters, but as I said, appreciation or importance or attention, something, right? So wait until that trust gets established and then it will happen. Reciprocal is also important. If you look at the mm, arrows, it's going towards the person and it's coming back at you as well, right? So in your little ways, you have to think, what is it that I can give back to this person? And that will happen when you know them as well. Just like how they will start knowing you, you will also start knowing them. And once you understand, you will figure out ways to give it back to them in this whole. And it is a continuous process. As you can see, a circle is continuous. So it's not that you do it now and you relax because you have tick marked, you have put one person into the previous circle. Okay, now this person is from a different college, different stream, or a different organization, different department, and your job is done. No, it is a continuous process again. So you do this every time you realize that, okay, I think I'm missing somebody who can add value. And then you start your search and you follow this approach. Now, let me tell you, I've just taken an example of LinkedIn here. I understand these days even students have LinkedIn accounts, which is very nice. So it might be a different approach as well. So there's something called dormant ties. Dormant is something which is kind of dead. I mean, it's not active. So if you are on this lecture, I assume probably you are above 18 years of age, right? And in the last 18 years, you must have attended college, you must have attended school, or you have lived in communities where you have your friends, your neighbors. So best way is to look at your phone and go through the contact list. I'm sure there might be a lot of people out there that you have not contacted in the past couple of years or months, and you have no idea where they are. So if you don't want to do it on LinkedIn, because if you feel that, okay, LinkedIn is for people who already are established or who are working or who have some experience, but my friends or my network in the past might not have reached that stage, start with your phone book. Look at it. And then I'm sure these days everything is online. If not LinkedIn, you can go on their Insta or Facebook and you will see. Because it is so easier to reach out to old friends, strike a conversation. You don't have to struggle with a conversation starter with them because you know them. They know you. It's just a matter of those dormant ties becoming active ties, right? But for those who are on LinkedIn, and if you feel, I'm taking here an example of a data scientist. Let's say your aspiration is to become a data scientist and you are in Hyderabad. Okay, I'm in Hyderabad, so I have taken that example. You type data scientist Hyderabad in LinkedIn. Then LinkedIn will throw up some options. So I found 6,518 results for somebody with either their title as a data scientist or their experience as a data scientist or something to do with data scientist of that person. So here, my friend's friend, that is a second degree connection here. So this guy that you see here, I have 6, 7, 8, total 8 or 9 guys who know this data scientist. So, like when I was doing an external benchmarking, one friend said, I don't know that person, but there were others who knew somebody else at a personal level. So, in this case as well, instead of directly going to this gentleman that I have highlighted, I will look at those 8 connections, and within those 8 connections, also I might be very close to 1 or 2 that I can just pick up a phone and call my friend. I'll reach out to that friend and put in a request like, would you be able to, or first I'll ask, how well you know this data scientist? If they say that, okay, just like how you and I are, because when you talk about a network, if you look at our flow of lecture diagram, one person was connected to multiple people, right? So that is the second degree connection. There is a third degree connection as well. But for some reason, LinkedIn is not showing it for free profiles. Only if you have a premium profile, probably it will show. But that is a good strategy to reach out to your friend and tell your friend as to why you want some help from somebody. And then you can get introduced to the person that you have in your mind. So here is a request that I received. Now, sometime let's say you are friends or you are trying to search somebody and there is no common connection. So if there is no common connection, you have to reach out. If you remember the circle, ask. Unless you ask, nothing happens. So I have masked the person's name here to protect their identity. But just look at the request that I received on LinkedIn. I'm actively looking for change in this. Now, no matter how polite your approach, it shows your intention, right? So it's always about the person you want to connect. So do some homework of the person that you are trying to reach out to. And with that, I want to also kind of put a caveat or a warning that don't be a stalker, because these days everything is online, but that doesn't mean that you become a stalker and every day you look at this person and you get obsessed. No, don't do that. But try and have some bit of information about that person and then give in a request. So in the next slide, I'll show you a good request. So before that, this is a good point. First deposit and withdraw later. So if you go to a bank and if you want to have interest of the money that you have put into the bank, you don't just withdraw it immediately, right? You wait. So it's like the dividend or the interest. It will come at a later point in time. So the same goes true for any connection as well. First, you have to deposit. First, you have to do the investment in that person, and then later on, you can withdraw and enjoy the dividends. This is a good request. Again, I have masked the person, but just see how nicely this person has sent me a request. Said that very carefully, the person is selective in expanding the network and wants to contribute to the community. Now, I'm sure if anybody goes on to my LinkedIn profile, they will see some of the things that I try and do for the community. So this person picked up that keyword and have put in here, and I have accepted this person's request. So you see, when we say you got to maintain relations, you got to ensure that the trust it gets established. That gets established from the time that you put in a request, because trust, one of the component of trust is both of your values or beliefs should match to a certain extent, right? So one of my value was around the community, and this person has sent a request with that keyword, and it's a good request, and I accepted it. So the punchline is not just being different, but genuine. Because also remember the kind of people that you're trying to reach out, and just in case if they are experienced people, they can sense based on the way you have sent a request. All right, so we come to the end. I know that we also have to take some question and answer, but I'll just summarize it by two statements. Social networking is not networking, and certainly that's not working. So it has to be real. And as I said, it is about connection. It is not about just expanding your network, having 2,000, 4,000 followers on your LinkedIn, or having tons of friends on your social media accounts and all. It's not going to work, because when you are in trouble, I don't think so all those 2,000 will come to your rescue. But the real ones will definitely. And there are a lot of people out there who can help you go further and faster than you can on your own. Just like the quote that you saw in the beginning from Helen Keller, you alone can do only little, but with everybody else, there is a lot that can happen. Okay, so with that, we come to question and answer. Let me just toggle my screen and go to the question list. And unlike last time, I used to go through the questions from the beginning, but this time I'll go from below, so that some of the questions that you might have asked at the beginning of the session might have got covered, right? So let me just pick, I think I am on the right form. Okay. All right. So here, how to minimize use of so-called social media and how to make balance between them, like what of these media is useful for social learning or not. Okay, so Vidya Sagar is asking this question, and I think it is slightly a little different compared to the network part, but this is more on the usage of social media that you're referring to, right? So my personal example, if I have to share, I have disabled all notifications for any social media app. So I don't have a Facebook Messenger on my phone. And even my WhatsApp, I don't get notified. And SMS is the only one that has, and obviously phone. And LinkedIn also, I have not installed. I have to go on to the website to check through the phone. I think more than the laptop or computer, it is the phone which has so many applications and so many notifications, because of which you get distracted. So the best way is to turn off the notification, in my opinion. Okay, how can we accept any person request on LinkedIn that is people who we have never met and not related to our field? Kritika is asking this question. Okay, well, Kritika, yes, definitely. I understand that when you have not met somebody, it might be a little difficult for you to accept the person's request. So you can go through the person's profile, because I think LinkedIn allows the kind of things the person has liked or commented. Their network will also be visible to you. And also it depends whether you feel the need to connect with this person. Like I'll tell you, if I open my LinkedIn now, I have, I think, 464 invitations still waiting to be accepted or ignored. And I don't accept everybody's request as well. So first, I only respond to the ones where there is a message. If there is no message, then I don't know why you want to connect with me in the first place. So likewise, if you want to send a request to somebody, please mention the reason why you want to connect with that person, right? And yeah, a platform like LinkedIn, I know these days people put up a lot of their personal stuff as well, but primarily this platform is meant for professional networking to build connections professionally. So yes, you don't know the person, you don't have to be friends with that person as well, but at the same time, if you feel that this person has something to offer, and you can have an exchange of ideas or exchange of information, or you can learn something by the post this person is going to put up and all, then I don't see any harm. But yes, having a caution will always help. Okay, so this question is from Shivarama. How should a fresher build social network with the company employees of this dream company? Very good question. Yes, as I have shown you, just take the same example that you want to be a data scientist and you know the company that hires data scientists. So you type the name, you type data scientist, comma, and the company name. It will give you a list of employees with that particular role in that organization. And then you can check if there are any common friends that you have. So probably your friends or your friend's cousin is a data scientist, and you can reach out to your friend and say that, can you please introduce me to your cousin? Worst case, you don't have anybody who shares a common connection, then you can reach out by explaining to the person as to why you want to reach out. And yes, there are some people who are a little scared to accept a lot of invitations as well, because they might feel that you will bug them by sending good morning, good night every night, or every time you send them a message wherein they don't have anything to respond back to you, because it might have happened with some people. Their past experience was not so good, because of which they don't want to accept any request. So you have to be careful where you need to draw the line. You need to know the schedule of the person, and are you reaching out during the working day, during the peak hours, or are you reaching out to the person on weekends? Are you taking a lot of time of that person, and all those things? But you can definitely reach out, and as I said, you will hear a no. If 100 times if you send, maybe 70, 80 times you will hear a no from the other person, which is okay, because all of us have our choices. Maybe that person already has a lot of people he or she is mentoring, coaching, or sharing information with. And sometimes, if your request is just to get one bit of information, then they might help you out. If you put it up in your request itself, when you are sending a request, if you put it out that, okay, I am just looking at this and I hope you will be able to answer it, and if you do, then please respond, that kind of stuff. And I'll give you an example. So just 2 weeks back, one of my cousin's friend reached out to me. Obviously, he saw my lecture and he saw me in some wedding, and he knew about my profile. And luckily, my organization was going to his college for hiring. And he reached out to me and said that, I know about you and I just needed some help in terms of understanding the organization. Then I guided him to our website, and I answered some of the questions he had about our organization. And he worked hard on that. And when the organization went for interviews, he got selected. I did not do anything. I did not speak to my HR. I did not tell him about the interview process. All I did was answered the questions that he had about the organization. So, like that, you can reach out and people are there who can help you with. All right, now I see some more questions coming up. So this question is from Abhishek. I am currently a student. How can I develop my network on LinkedIn so that I'll be good for me? It will be good for me in future. As I said, Abhishek, if you already know the stream that you are in, you already know the companies who will hire you, or you already know your aspiration, then you can start searching for those people first, and then second, trying to see the common connections that you have and reaching out. And as you are a student, you have a lot of time. If somebody was in between jobs and if they start doing it now, then probably it is a little later. It is a little late for them. But if you are a student, then start focusing on it, make it a habit to have a stronger network. And by the time you reach to a certain position or certain level in your career, then you will have a strong network, because it's not always about somebody at a higher level. So you have different kinds of connections as well. One is at a strategic level, somebody who is in the public service or who is a part of the leadership, and they will be able to tell you what is happening, what are the trends that are happening in the industry, or where the world is heading to and all. Then there is a group which is pretty similar to your experience level. So, for instance, if I take an example of college, so your peers, the same set of people who are your classmates, are your peers, they can help you as well in terms of finishing certain activities. If there is a college fest or there is a project or whatever, you can take help. So, that is also a network. Then there is a third type of network, which will be around your coaches and mentors who will help you in your softer aspects, who will help you figure out the blind spot that I said. All of us have the potential. You know, Unfortunately, I think this is where I have my observations about the educational institutes, where we are very much focused on the academics, but all of us carry a set of potential within us. So I don't know how often our potential gets exposed, because sometimes we ourselves don't know what our potential is, and somebody else has to come in to show you your potential. So this is where the developmental network, your coaches, mentors will tell you. And I'm sure if you look at some of the movies you might have seen, there is always a senior person who coaches, guides a junior person and brings out the best from this person, right? So you can start building it, and over a period of time, you will have a very strong network. Okay, there is a question from Sayan. How can a software engineer fresher from genuine connection with the ones in the higher end of the company hierarchy? Okay, all right. So, as I said, you always don't have to go for hierarchy. And believe me, hierarchical people, I mean, people who are at the top, usually don't even have time. So they would like you to be very crisp, to the point. And there is a very famous statement they use: tell me the bottom line, hit the bottom line. What is it that you want? So if you are still in the initial stage of fresher software engineer, then I would say that maybe you don't need to have too many people in the strategic level. You might need middle management level guys. And why wouldn't they help you? Why wouldn't they come to your rescue when you have a genuine interest to learn? So if you go, I'll just give you an example. Okay, if you go to somebody and say that, okay, I want to get promoted faster, so please help me out, maybe the response from them might not be that great, because it's purely self-serving, because you're talking about your growth. Why would somebody else be interested in your growth? But if you flip it, and if you go to them and say that, okay, I want to learn this so that I can contribute to the project, then you're talking about giving something back, right? And you're using a positive stuff, learning, because everybody likes learning, and there are some people who might be interested in teaching you as well. So the chances that you will get a yes or you will be supported on that are high when you add these elements. All right, Deepa is asking how to maintain a professional relationship. What are the do's and don'ts? All right, so Deepa, here I think you need to see the responses from the other person as well. Because if you have asked something which is swaying towards the personal side of the other person, and if you don't get a proper response, then you know that, okay, probably the person doesn't want to have a connection at a personal level. And it all depends, again, as I said, if the values and the beliefs are not in alignment with yours and the other person, it is a little difficult. But over a period of time, it might happen. So again, I'll take an example of a facilitator who came to our organization. And I met the facilitator only for 3 days in a row because I was getting certified as a facilitator. And we had lunch together in office, and we discussed a lot of matters. And when we were discussing a lot of matters, a lot of things were very common to each other. And today, I can just pick up the phone, send a message, or call this person without any inhibition. And we have crossed that barrier of, okay, what is professional, what is personal? Because our values and beliefs match. So sometimes if it doesn't with somebody else, I think we don't have to push it harder, but then get a clue or a cue from it. Or sometimes you can straight away ask as well if you feel that you are entering the personal space of the individual, and you will know. So it's fine. All right. So Naga is asking, is that book behind you, Laws of Human Nature? You have a great eye for detail, I must tell you, my friend. Yes, Robert Greene, that is the book. True. All right. So now I don't see any more questions coming up here because I'm looking at the timestamp. We started at 6, and the last message here is at 18:51. We have 9 more minutes. I'll try and refresh it to see if any new message has come. Okay, it has not. So I think it is time for us to end. And I don't know how much of it made sense, but I just want to tell you that relationships are all there is. Everything in the universe only exists because it is in relationship to everything else. Nothing exists in isolation. Even if you are a student, even if you have just started your career, or you are already an experienced person, or you, for that matter, you have tons of experience, you alone will find it very difficult to succeed. You need the support system in the form of mentors, coaches, supporters, enablers, friends. Okay, please don't. The only thing that I will tell you is the day you get this clarity that you don't want to self serve your only intentions, but in genuine way you want to give it back to the person, and you are very choosy in terms of having those connections and relationships in your life, you will end up wasting a lot of your time, because something which is not adding value is a distraction in your life, right? So just take care of these things and have patience. I think, I don't know if I covered it, this building connection and networking is an art. It takes time, it takes energy, and it takes a lot of efforts. And if I have to just pick, I don't know if it was in Robert Greene's book, but I think in some book I have read that if you look at your total list of people in your life, maybe your phone has 600 people in the contact list. Maybe your friend list might be 1,000, and maybe your LinkedIn has 2,000 people. But research says that you will have around 150 people in the range. And some of the historic books have said that when we came into this world, obviously we were a part of some tribe. And if you look at the tribe population, it used to range around 150, that kind of stuff. So our close knit of people, maybe at one point in time this person was close to you, and after 5 years also you can call this person, and it will be exactly like you have spoken to this person yesterday, right? Those kind of people will be around 150. So don't be in a rush to have 10 people in that strategic, 20 people in that peer, and then 30 people in your mentor and coach's bracket. You don't need. All you need is the right person at the right time who can do the right thing for you. Okay? All right. So thank you all. And remember, you need to start building relationships today onwards. All the best, guys.